Hitler and Goebbels, the great leaders of Nazi Germany, were fascinated by Nostradamus' quatrains. It is said that Hitler had an astrologer of Swiss nationality named Karl Ernst Kraft, who would have constantly informed him of the favorable constellations. Kraft saw in the 5th century, Quatrain 94, the confirmation of the well-being of Greater Germany in the hands of its extraordinary Führer. The religious pagan tones, the grandiose state-level spectacles staged, the ritual marches of the Nazis, the constant vision of the future, the millennial Reich, all this makes us believe that Hitler lived under the diffuse influence of some esoteric circles. After all, even his fulminating rise and his iron will made many believe that the Führer had foresight, that he knew in advance what was to come. Some of the fascist rascals had, more or less obviously, preferences for astrological theories. Heinrich Himmler, for example, raised in a family of good Catholics, had a great weakness for quasi-religious themes and so-called related theories. The German Navy established, in 1942, a special institute in Berlin, whose esoteric employees were supposed to discover the position of enemy submarines on the map. Regarding Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy, it is known that, from the first years of the fascists coming to power, he was concerned with setting up a central institute for occultism. For a time, it was suspected that he was Hitler's secret astrologer, at least that is what several articles published in the London Times claimed at the beginning of the war. Rudolf Hess's mysterious flight to England, on May 10, 1941, seems to have been linked to an occult constellation. Even today, it has not been fully elucidated how much Hess allowed himself to be led by the stars in his actions. It is certain that after this, Hitler's preference for astrology turned into aversion. Hans Frank, the Governor-General of Poland, executed at Nuremberg, quotes Hitler at the crisis meeting of May 12, 1941. It seems to me that Hess's step was due to the clique of astrologers around him. The time has come to put an end to stargazing once and for all. In the weeks following Hess's flight to England, between 300 and 1,000 people were arrested for astrological inclinations. Most were released after weeks of interrogation. The regime clearly demonstrated that it was not willing to tolerate the amplification of predictions of the future. It was not difficult to keep them under the surveillance of suspicious circles even before this action. At the behest of the Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, the German Metaphysical Society had been founded to bring together all those interested in esoteric matters, especially Nostradamus. Among them was the confused individualist Karl Ernst Kraft. He attracted the attention of the Minister of Propaganda in 1939 as a specialist in Nostradamus. It seems that Goebbels, like Hitler, had a preference for star reading. As for the interpretation of Nostradamus, he had only one interest: to launch foreign propaganda with the help of the prophet's verses. Kraft did this. The Americans and the English are being conquered by such propaganda, he cynically noted in his diary. We are co-opting all the so-called key witnesses into our circle. Nostradamus must be believed again.